One of the best remastered games to actually come out, other than Resident Evil 4, I'm neck and neck between those two here. God of War 3 has to be one of the greatest endings to the Olympian saga there is. You get to go against Poseidon, Hades, Zeus, and a couple other fodders, but hey, we all came here to kill the big three. And believe it or not, I do think this game does deserve a lot more credit than it really gets here. It's one of the best God of War games, even somewhat better than the original, well, I guess the Norse duo. But today we're going to see if Megatron from Transformers can actually beat this game. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Now, when it came to deciding Megatron himself here, yeah, I had to really go through a lot of them here. Some of them are planetary, some of them are city, and some of them are just outright destroying them entirely. I mean, so we're not going to use IDW Alternity, and especially not Unicron Trilogy, because that one is an absolute menace. Now, when it comes to the Megatron, I think fits perfectly, both in story-wise and even in power-wise. We can actually have Transformers Prime Megatron, who, believe it or not, can get to complex multiversal pretty easily within the verse here. And in all honesty, I don't think it's too hard. We'll just be giving him the Dark Star Saber. But, yeah, let's start this off, and, well, hope you guys enjoyed the video. By the way, big shout out to Prime1 here, one of my good Discord mates here, who actually made his own How Strong is Optimus Prime video 3 days ago. And believe it or not, loved it. Definitely would give it a recommendation. I definitely will put the link down there below. And believe it or not, I am going to use some of his scaling from his video. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with the God of War franchise. Now, I'm going to put the feats as it goes and pretty much just explain it here, right? So the way the hierarchy works is this. The gods are above everybody. Then there's the Titans, and then there's the Primordials. And then there are those regular people at the bottom. So the Primordials is where it actually all starts. The Primordials themselves, being conceptual beings, are actually able to, well, start up the universe itself here, and we're able to clash in a timeless void. Now, this also gives them, FTL to many times for FTL and immeasurable levels of speed, quite obviously, right? And these gods embody the various concepts, such as life, death, justice, and etc. So, yeah, the Primordials embody all that, and they are below the Titans. You see, the Titans were able to beat the Primordials in an all-out war, where Kronos castrated his father, Uranos, which is actually pretty brutal. Now, Uranos himself, being one of the strongest Primordials, was able to stop the concept of chaos from destroying the entire universe. Now, keep in mind, when it comes to God of War, all these universes, these dimensional spaces, are all infinitely layered. You see, there are dimensional barriers that separate Greek, Egyptian, Norse, Aztec, Japanese, Chinese, all that. They're all separated by dimensional barriers. And they all have infinite layered hierarchies, which were created by their respective gods of their respective pantheons. Okay? With even Olympus having itself infinite layers. Okay? Because again, the underworld's infinite. The underworld is a part of Olympus, which also should be infinite. And they all have their own different space-time continuums as well. Which again, if you factor that in, factor the sheer fact that again, these Olympian gods are able to destroy beings that are able to destroy the beings that have created the infinite layered hierarchy, you could easily get them to complex multiversal pretty easily. So with that being said, and with that out the way, we can now focus on their contemporary, or pretty much the person they're going up against, and that would be Transformers Prime, or Aligned Continuity Megatron. Now, this scaling is actually pretty simple. Upscale him from his War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron self here. And, well, we actually do get Megatron at Complex Multiversal to Hyperversal pretty easily. Or Hyperversal Plus. But there are also, high hyper arguments and outerversal arguments for Transformers Prime characters. Now, again, remind you, we are using Megatron with the Dark Star Saber, meaning he would upscale the likes of the Dark Spark. Now, this is pretty important because, again, his younger self was able to survive the blast from the Dark Spark, or at least from the Matrix, which pushed the Dark Spark out so far that it went through 3 different realms. It went through his own universal stream, went through Cloud World, which is a higher dimensional realm that is beyond the, well, multiverse itself here. And then you also have the sheer fact that it went to the Bayverse continuity. That's busting through a high hyperversal multiverse here, going through a higher dimensional realm which transcends these high hyperversal multiverses to the point where they look small and insignificant. And then you have the sheer fact that Megatron was able to tank this. You know, he was able to survive it at the very least. So, again, Megatron will be way more durable in Transformers Prime, meaning he upscales it by a decent margin and will be able to tank that. Now, I understand the Align continuity is a mess, but we still have some scaling from it that is very useful and very providable. For starters, Megatron would be able to one-shot combiners. And again, this is younger self. Now, being able to one-shot anything, meaning that you have a multiplier of 10. You are 10 times stronger than your opponent. And again, him upscaling combiners is pretty important, considering the fact that Menasor from Robots in Disguise was confirmed to be able to destroy an entire planet system. Planet system consisting of, again, multiple planets and including stars, which again is absolutely no joke. Him being able to destroy it, then the sheer fact that Megatron is able to one-shot a combiner that would actually be, no pun intended, superior to the likes of Menasor is absolutely no joke, even for a weaker version of his fusion cannon. And then you have the sheer fact that we have the sheer fact that in Transformers Prime, he's relative to Optimus, with them being able to beat each other, so it's easily a 50-50 match here. And then there's Predaking and Optimus Prime 2.0, which upscale base Megatron without the Dark Star Saber. With the Dark Star Saber, he should be equal to them, if not flat out greater, considering the sheer fact that he was able to, well, slice off this Optimus Prime 2.0's wings like they were nothing here. Now, this is important because the Star Saber was shattered by the Dark Star Saber, and again, this would equal the other Prime's weapons, such as Megatronus' fusion cannon, which draws upon the power of space-time and even creates black holes as a side effect. So with that being said here, Megatron should easily be complex multiversal with the Dark Star Saber. Now let's get into his first opponent, Poseidon. Now Poseidon here is one of the more interesting fights in God of War. Boss battle right off the bat here. Being able to fight against him, his horses, and his trident. Possessing abilities like lightning, hydrokinesis and stuff, and obviously enhanced strength that will be able to harm Megatron here. Now, I don't really see a reason why Megatron shouldn't win this here. I mean, he has decades worth of skill battling against giant monsters. And believe it or not, I actually do see him beating Poseidon mid-difficulty at best. See, the reason why I say that is because, again, flight is a very promising capability. Him using it, and with him being obviously FTL when it comes to his speed here, this actually means he can outmaneuver Poseidon and pretty much treat him like he's a avatar of Unicron, or one of the stone golems of Unicron, which I call him. So it is what it is here. Now, this is actually going to be pretty interesting because I do see Megatron just slicing through the, I guess you could say like the Kelpie or the seahorses or whatever, and just going full on Unicron mode here and just smashing through Poseidon's defenses, getting Poseidon himself here, and just crushing his skull. There's really nothing Poseidon can do at this point here. And if he decides to use the Dark Star Saber, then it's already over. The waves of energy already coming into contact here with the Cybertronian, well, the Energon coming into contact with organic material, which, believe it or not, they do not mix. Like, it's very bad for organic materials to come in contact with Dark Energon, so that kind of gives him the edge here. So Megatron should be able to beat Poseidon mid-difficulty at best. Now, Hades. Hades, believe it or not, is actually going to be a difficult one. Now, this is because, again, you do fight him in his domain, and Megatron's flight capabilities kind of do get shut down at that point here. But again, Megatron does have many ways to attack him. Even from a distance here, Megatron can unleash his fusion cannon. And using the Dark Star Saber, he can counter, if not cut through the claws of Hades themselves here. Now, this is pretty important because I do see Megatron possibly taking the claws of Hades. It is one of the few weapons that, in all honesty, I would give him when it comes to the God of War franchise. Now, if the claws of Hades could work on Megatron, I'm probably going to say no, because Cybertronians are known to be resistant to magic, and it takes a concentrated dosage to, well, kind of get through. So you're going to have to hammer him with the claws of Hades in order for that to work here. And believe it or not, I don't see Megatron really messing around with Hades here. I do see Megatron kind of like blasting him repeatedly with his fusion cannon. And again, if that fusion cannon, with that fusion cannon being stronger than his younger selves here, which again has a 10 times one-shot range on combiners, I don't see it being too bad of a possibility that he would be able to damage Hades far worse than what Kratos did. And then add the Dark Star Saber as well. Yeah, it's not going to bode very well for Hades here. I actually see him being killed pretty quickly, if not mid to high difficulty. But let's talk about some of the fodder here. We got Helios and Hermes. What are they going to do? I mean, the best you could say is that Megatron maybe feels a bit bored with, how everything's going on, and he may indulge in Helios's endeavor, and then he'll just be like, all right, time to die. It's done here. And then you have the sheer fact that Helios isn't even a fight. It's just a weapon collection. Like, he just walks up to him, rips his head off, and that's it. Like, I don't even think you should be able to die during that level. If you do, I'm just wow. But with that being said here, Hermes is kind of just playtime for Megatron. It's nothing. It's like him killing Starscream over and over again. The best day ever. So with that being said here, Megatron moves on to somebody a bit more competitional, Hercules. And my God, this would actually be one of the best fights in the series, or best fights I can actually imagine here. Because again, Megatron's not going to use the Dark Star Saber for this one. No. I don't think he's going to use it here. I don't even think he's going to use his fusion cannon here. He's going to beat Hercules in straight hands. That's the best way I could see it here. Seeing as Hercules is more of an honorable or more of a fisticuffs-like opponent, I could see Megatron indulging himself in just being the one to beat the brakes off of Hercules in hand-to-hand combat. And again, his skill far outclasses anybody in a hand-to-hand fight. And Hercules being able to, wanting to actually fight him, yeah, in a hand-to-hand fight, oh my gosh. It's going to be some of them Transformers Prime Wii combos, you know what I'm saying? And the sheer fact that Megatron, again, is able to beat a large majority of the Autobots, beat Optimus himself, and, well, generally his skill allows him to somewhat compensate for stronger characters on some occasions here. And keep in mind, this dude was a gladiator in the pits of Chaos. Matter of fact, that Insecticon fight he had is likely how it's going to go. Except he's not going to be taking any damage or being tired after this fight. So, yeah, he's definitely beating the mess out of Hercules here. Next up, we got Kronos. And, well, in all honesty, I think this actually goes a bit easier than what we had to do in God of War. Because, again, he can fly. So what's to honestly stop, Megatron, I almost forgot. To stop Megatron here from flying around Kronos here, jumping up, transforming, and just, well, plunging the Dark Star Saber into his head like Kratos did with the Blade of Olympus. So in all honesty, Transformers Prime Megatron is actually clearing this pretty easily with the Dark Star Saber and his fusion cannon alone. So, yeah, that just leaves Zeus. We actually got here pretty quickly, didn't we? No, it's not like the Sun Wukong one where it's kind of just obvious what he's going to do and just be petty about it. But It's just that, you know, Zeus doesn't have anything that could honestly damage or counter Megatron. He does have a magic nullification, but Megatron doesn't operate on magic. Maybe you could say he tries to shut down the Dark Star Saber, but that won't work. So what if Zeus tries to summon the Blade of Olympus? It's not impossible. I mean, it's his weapon. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't give it to him, right? So if that happens, then we could probably see a repeat of Optimus Prime and Megatron's saber clash, right? And then we could just have the fact that, well, if Megatron shattered the Dark Star Saber, shattered the Star Saber with the Dark Star Saber, then he should be able to shatter the Blade of Olympus. But let's say it's just a tad bit more durable. Then again, a blade clash is just not going to help Zeus here. As again, we also know that Megatron is not far above using his hands and using other weapons in the fight as well. So he could very well just block Zeus's attack with the Dark Star Saber in one hand and then blast him with the fusion cannon in the other. And then if he uses that, it also takes away some of his godly power and some of his godly abilities. So Zeus would actually just be nerfing himself at that point then. And even then, if Zeus doesn't use the Blade of Olympus here, he's just trying to beat Megatron in a raw power fight. That's not going to work with the Dark Star Saber here. So in all honesty, yeah, Megatron actually clears God of War. And it's Transformers Prime Megatron, no less. I'm not trying to say that as a downplay, but I'm just saying, like, if we had used, like, IDW, Unicron Trilogy, or Alternity, it would have been a very bad day for the God of War verse overall. But yeah, Megatron clears it with mid difficulty at best. But that's going to be all today, guys. Please comment down below, like, and subscribe, and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. By the way, stick around to the end of the video to find out what I'm going to be doing next. Peace.